Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 421 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. Gonna be live hacking on some Firefox stuff. Let's get started. Let's get into it. What are we waiting for? Let's go. I'm gonna start by sharing my screen. It's November 26th, 2025, episode 421. And a reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. I think I know what I want to cover, but might not go right, might go sideways. We might get stuck. We might get distracted. Anything could happen. That's okay. We're going to deal with it as it comes. Most of this isn't really pre-planned beyond just a vague outline, and so you're going to get to watch me deal with stuff as it comes. That's the first thing. Second thing, the agenda that we're looking at is available to you. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out the video description for a link. If you're watching this on Airmozilla, check out the details section over there. If you're watching this on Twitch, check out the channel details down there. As I update the agenda, and I'll probably be writing some stuff into it as the episode proceeds, this little spinny will spin, and if you reload the agenda, you'll get the most up-to-date version of it. Well, let's get right into it. Today's episode is brought to you by HTTP code 421, and this one actually does... Last week there was no error code, or last episode there was no error code. This one, 421 exists. HTTP status code 421 exists. This is the image that was given to us by Keanu.codes to represent that status code. Let's figure out what this status code means. This is misdirected request. The HTTP 421 misdirected request client error response status code indicates that the request was directed to a server that is not able to produce a response. This can be sent by a server that is not configured to produce responses for the combination of scheme and authority that are included in the client URI. So this is basically the server saying, like, what? Doing one of these. Hang on, where is it? That is error code 421. It's the sound of it. And then the clients may retry the request over a different connection. So yeah, if you tried to make a request here to example.com, it's possible that the server will be like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about on this date. I'm this server. Yeah. There you go. So, misdirected request. Please don't... This is the server saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Please try again. You know, before I continue, I just realized I never tested the bridge. So I'm just going to quickly test, make sure that the Slack Twitch chat bridge is working. Bridge test, please ignore. Let's see if it's going through. Yes, it is. Okay, well, that's good. All right, well, let's keep... Oh, and the Keanu codes, I don't know what movie this is from. I'm going to guess maybe a John Wick film. I don't think that that's Keanu Reeves. I suspect this person being thrown into this bunch of glass is probably Keanu Reeves. Probably is John Wick based on, I don't know, the look and feel of the video frame. I guess that's a misdirected request. Good job, Keanu.codes. All right, let's get right into it. Before we continue, I wanted to mention there's no episode next week. I'm traveling next week again. It's my last travel of the year, hopefully. That means that I will not be streaming next week. Apologies. All right, so where are we? Last time, we were working on factoring out things so that our handoff search bar would work. That's done. I did it. I was working on it throughout the end of last week, and I sort of polished it off in between meetings, and it appears to work, and I thought we could take a quick peek at it. I pushed some patches to try. I'm hoping we can get some data back on how it performs on our try server. Maybe we can get it up for review. But what we can do is we can actually run it and take a look at it. Hopefully the build I have here is configured to use it correctly. So this is it. Believe it or not, that's our search input. That is using the content search handoff UI custom element. Close up that shadow root. And if I type, it hands off. And let's see, whenever the handoff occurs, it's like this area becomes disabled. And if I exit focus, then this becomes enabled again. Yeah. That's how that's supposed to work. And what else? What else? It's the same one is used in private browsing mode now. So that is a thing. What else? It responds to updates to the search engine, so I can set the search engine to like Wikipedia, and that works properly. And if it's still open, I'll set it to Perplexity and it updates, and I'll set it to Google and it updates. So it all seems to work, which is very nice. Now, one of the things that I needed to do, this is one of the things that we have to do now that we're working on new tab. If we make changes like this, we have to do something called maintaining train hop compatibility, which is very interesting because train hopping is something. Well, first of all, fun fact, we just performed another train hop. The new tab on the release version of Firefox, if you launch a release version, it may take a restart or two for this to take effect, but this new tab instance right here, if you take a look at About Support, the new tab instance that's rolled out to release is version 147. So it's actually 147's new tab has gone out to the release channel. That went to 100% today. It's got lots of like little polish and accessibility fixes, bug fixes, etc. Not too many new. I don't think there are any big flashy features, except part of what's going out as part of this release is we're beginning the rollout of the weather widget in more regions, but it requires a slightly different user interaction. Like users in certain regions have to opt in to getting weather suggestions. So that UI for the opt-in and all that stuff is going out as part of this, and so hopefully clients will start to get enrolled in that rollout, and users outside of the US and Canada and parts of Europe, I think, will start to get weather suggestions now that we've got that set up. So that's fun. But how does train hopping work? Well, train hopping basically takes a snapshot of whatever is in the new tab code base in Nightly, and basically wraps it up into a bundle that can be then installed on beta and installed on release, which is very handy whenever new tab is self-contained. But when you have an external component, you have an external dependency like the handoff content UI handoff search bar here, how do you maintain train hop compatibility? How do you make it so that when the new tab code, which is hard code embedding this thing, how do you make it so that whenever it goes to beta and release, that it keeps working? And the answer is, well, you have to do a little bit of extra work. One of the things I had to do, because I forgot I had to do this. I forgot I had to maintain train hop compatibility. But basically what we do is we have a pref that rides the train with the component that we are checking. And if the pref exists and is set to true, then we use the new thing. Otherwise, we fall back to the old thing. And so when new tab, the code, if and when it train hops between now and when 147 or whenever these patches land, before they hit release, if there's a train hop in the meantime, then we will fall into this branch and we will use the old stuff. Otherwise, what rides the trains, the version of new tab that rides the trains, will use this stuff. That's maintaining train hop compatibility. And so we have like these special things that we put in the source code to sort of, this is what we'd call a shim. We're shimming this new component. And you want to clean up these shims. You don't want them to stick around. So we put these special tags inside of our source code so that as when 147 hits release, we can remove all of the shimming. We can remove all of the old version of this stuff. It won't be used anymore, and we can actually remove the pref and everything. So that's nice. But in the meantime, like while we're waiting for the component to ride the trains, for bugs to be fixed, etc., we have to continue. We have to have this shim exist in the new tab code to maintain train hop compatibility. And one of the things that we do in order to maintain train hop compatibility is we run special test jobs that basically take the new tab code and the nightly new tab tests and then backport them to beta and release. Install the updated new tab in beta and install the updated new tab in release, and then run Nightly's new tab tests on beta and release to make sure that they still run correctly. These are our sort of CI train hop compatibility CI jobs. And you can see them running on Central. We run them on merges. Let's see here, train hop. So we have green train hop jobs here on some of our most recent, our recent merge. That's good. We want to maintain this. We want to keep these green. And so this try push is going to check to see whether or not I've done the right thing. Are the tests... I suspect, actually, that they will not be train hop compatible. Not that the code isn't train hop compatible, because I actually did a manual test here in Developer Edition. I installed the new tab XPI from Nightly here. This is using new tab. If we go to about support, 147.1, that's my local build of the XPI. And this is working, the handoff works properly, and if we inspect it, it's using the old stuff. It's not using the old, it's not using the new component. It's using the old handoff bar. So and like if we open up private browsing mode, like it's using the old, old look and feel. So functionally, I think it works. I just don't think the tests that are being brought over have been adapted to do both. So I suspect that there will be some work to do. In fact, I can make a prediction. We can make a prediction right now by looking at the patch. So let's post these patches. We're gonna post patches. These two are already up for review. These three have been in work in progress, and while I worked on train hop compatibility, I'm gonna post an updated those updates now. So I'm gonna submit LU to KNS as work in progress patches, and we can continue to examine them. Because what we want to be looking for are changes to the new tab tests that are probably not train hop compatible. That will, I suspect, that's where we'll find the real meat of the problem. So the tests will be under browser extensions new tab under test. I suspect it's going to be this test here. These tests are not run using those jobs. This test is. I suspect this test is going to fail. This one right here. Is that really all? Because I know that we had to update a bunch of tests under search, but I guess this was the only test. So this one we might actually need to make train hop compatible. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start a new patch on top of the change where we make the new tab component, the new tab use the new component. I'm going to open this test, and then we are just going to we're going to change the selector based on really the pref. I think what we'll do is using handoff component equals, and then this is the pref. Services prefs get bool pref false, so it defaults to false if it doesn't exist. And then query, const query selector, I'll call it selector equals using handoff component. If we are using the handoff component, this will be the selector. Otherwise, the selector will be the old one, which is the search handoff button. And then we will swap in our selector here. Got the content search handoff UI. I think that can stay the same. Okay, so let's make sure that that test continues to pass for us here. So yeah, the train hop jobs are running. Oh, we have a linting issue. Missing a JS doc comment? Okay, well, we'll have to fix that up on 192. Okay. We'll fix that up in a sec. All right, let's run the test. What was the test again? Browser AS render. And if this works, good. Okay, then we're going to, well, let's also fix this linting issue. What was it? 192? Handoff UI 192. Content search handoff UI.mjs 192. Oh, it wants a class description. This custom element encapsulates the UI for the search handoff experience for new tab and about new tab and about private browsing. It is a temporary component. This is a temporary component while we wait for the multi-context address bar to be available. All right. Mock, lint, outgoing. All right, let's squash this in, I guess. We'll squash in our changes. And then JJ new KNS. Hey, there's a spammer. Someone get that spammer. Get him. Get the spammer. Mock, lint, outgoing, fix. Sophisticated layoff. Boo. Feel free to obliterate that spammer for me, please, if you have the time. Man, Twitch has a real spam problem, eh? Or is there something I need to be like enabling on my channel to like prevent these clearly spam messages from appearing? Like, what's the? Thank you, Smurfty. What do you do if you're a Twitch person? What do you do? Is this just a unsolved problem? Spam in the chat. Okay, we're gonna push again. We got orange here, and it's exactly what I thought. AS render. So we're gonna mock try again. We're gonna try that again. So we can go ahead and cancel the rest of these jobs. We'll go ahead and just cancel those. We don't need to keep running all those expensive jobs. These all look just very unhappy, eh? But I think this might be because of the fact that it's an artifact build. And that's still unhappy, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so our patch is, we're gonna see another try push. We can wait for that to land. While we're waiting for that, excuse me, I'm hoping we can now start thinking about the next step. This whole point wasn't to do, any kind of like search work. It was to encapsulate the search input into a single component so that we can start decoupling. Like, if you take a look at search.jsx, we're doing this thing where we're like hard coding the module, or in this case the component, into the new tab, and we're also hard coding loading the script, and you can see that here in the patch. Like, we load content search handoff UI.mjs, we hard code it, loading it, where do we hard code loading it? Here. What in the world? Why is it doing all that? It's done a bad job of taking these comments and putting them in sensible places, but okay. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, we load it. We load it manually. We say import. Where is it? Render. In base.jsx, we like manually import, like hard code loading the component here, and that's no good. Can't do that. Or at least that strong coupling between new tab and search is something I think we should try and avoid. So instead, what the plan was, what we were thinking, and I think I started to write some of this out in an earlier episode, because like we've done this now. We wanted to. Well, we talked a little bit about category manager. I'm going to push back on that. I don't think we want to use category manager anymore. But we wanted it so that the search team could declaratively register components and that the new tab would have that registry be kind of like this fairly stable API surface. And then the new tab code itself reads from that registry and goes, oh, okay, you are the content UI search handoff thing. You want to go inside of the search field. Got it. We will let you do that. All right. Now, before we continue, something just occurred to me, which is that I'd seen something go by. I apologize. I'm getting a little distracted. Was this ever fixed, this Herald rule? Yeah, okay, it's been assigned. There's a bunch of patches that aren't being reviewed for new tab right now because of a busted Herald rule that needs to get fixed. I just want to see how that had been going. Hey, okay, good. Our train hop testing job now is running as we would want. That's good. I think we'll be ready to like post these for review shortly. Now we actually have a design, sort of a sense of a design for this mechanism, and what I want to do is kind of like sketch it out a little bit. So what I'll do, actually, what I will do, how do I want to draw. We're going to draw for a little bit. I was not prepared to draw, so I have to get Krita ready to go. Hold on a second. Krita? And I apologize, like, I thought I was over this cold, but clearly my nose, with all this talking, my nose is starting to get plugged up again. So I apologize if you're hearing me and you're like, man, he sounds stuffed up. You're right. You're right, I am. Okay. So we are going to... hang on. I gotta reorganize all my windows. I was not prepared to do this. All right. And we're going to bring Krita. That's Krita is here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new drawing, and I'm going to bring it over. Is my drawing window? Yeah, there we go. Drawing window over here. This is my drawing tablet. Now let's just see if this works. Yay! Okay. So we can draw now. I need to choose a slightly different pencil though. Let's see. Just a pencil, please. What's a nice pencil? There, I like this. That might be enough, although I do want it a little thicker. There we go. Okay. Let me move the microphone. I'm going to be a little out of frame. I apologize, but that's because the tablet's over here. Okay. So here's the idea. We've got kind of these different worlds. I'm going to put, this is the content process boundary. down here is where we have, say, over here, I'm going to put activity stream bundle.js. And over here, I think there's going to be some kind of like registry library. I don't have a good name for it yet. And over here, we're also going to have something called a wrapper or a widget wrapper. Widget wrapper. Element. And the widget wrapper element is what's going to take the place of all those places where we hard-coded the, in this case, the content search UI. And what that widget wrapper will do is it'll just say, like, okay, well, get me the thing that represents search for here. And the registry library knows about things registered for search, knows what libraries to import for them, and knows what the name of the component is, and knows what attributes to set on it, maybe, if needed. And then the wrapper will just like plop it right into the DOM. That's what the registry library is. Read-only from the perspective of the content process, the privileged content process down here. Up here is the parent process. And we've got a couple different worlds here. We've got like search world. This will be search world. This will be new tab world. And what I'm thinking is search defines their handoff widget or handoff component. So that's the thing that we've already written. And then they have a declaration, a registration, external widget, registration object, which they will pass. It's either an object or a class or something, but that's gonna go into something inside of a new tab over here. This will be like the component registry, external component registry, and it'll check and make sure that it abides by the rules of what can be registered. And then its job is going to be to let the registry library know about it. And I think what we can use for that, since they'll all be shared and it's read-only, then we can use something called the shared data set to save memory, which is write-only from the parent, read-only from content. And that's basically the idea. Now there's probably some additional patterns here that might be useful. Like if there are more things over time that are going to want to be embed this way, we might want to have like some common base classes, like some base actors to kind of like take care of some of the drudgery that, say, another component could subclass or they could compose with to create themselves, but that they are responsible for registering with the component registry. So I think that's what I want to try and pilot out here, if we can. It looks like it looks maybe a little more disordered than I would like, mainly because it's creating this Z pattern here, this sort of like Z shape. I probably should have swapped these two boxes at the bottom so you have a nice sort of like backward C, or flipped everything around and you'd have like a forward C. Maybe easier to read, but hopefully that was somewhat illustrative of what I'm thinking of doing here. And I would like to kind of like pilot it out. This is something you can do if you're like not sure if the technique is going to work, if you're not sure if the approach is viable or what sorts of problems there will be with it, is you can pilot it out, do a really cheap version of it. And that is what this handoff thing has been all about, is preparing to do a very cheap version of this, and we can like change our mind and back out, back off if we're wrong, and rethink about it. Because as much as you can design this stuff kind of in your head and on paper and really think about it, but until you've built it out, excuse me, until you've actually tried building it, you won't know how it will behave when it butts up against reality. So the sooner you can actually get something like, I'm not advocating for build first, think later. Obviously, think first, get a vague outline, but don't start programming it in your head. Try and test the viability of your ideas so that you can quickly discard them, is what I would recommend. So that you can quickly find where your assumptions fall over. Because there's a bunch of stuff here where, yeah, I may have completely misrepresented the difficulty or the complexity of some of these things, the performance constraints, all sorts of things could be wrong here. So we're going to just try it out. Hey, look! Green! Green! And if these two are green, I'm fairly confident these two will be green. So I think we've got something train hop compatible. I'm ready to push these up for review. I'm pretty happy. So I'm going to go ahead and polish these patches up and get them up for review. Mozfab submit made train hop compatible now. Submit. All right. Let's get those up for review. And let's make sure that the proper reviewers are set up for it. So let's visit. So this is going to need... Oh boy, yeah, we need reviewers here. We're going to need reviewers here from Home New Tab. Okay, that's working. That's the right set of people. All right. We're going to need search reviewers here. I think we need to actually fold some of these things together. I'm realizing now that this is not going to pan out. We need to remove this. We're going to update that patch. Because like we remove those lines later on. We remove them here. So we can fold some of that together, I think. And then what else? This last one for private browsing, I think we're gonna... Who last touched private browsing? Well, before we add the reviewer, let's go ahead and clean up that one thing. So over here in making content search UI, handoff UI a module, we went and updated this stuff, and we updated bits and pieces under new tab here, where we are like now inserting this script, and I think that's wrong. We need to not do that anymore. So what we'll do is we're going to do edit LU, and we're going to do split. And so split allows us to pick and choose the parts that we want. We do want this part. We want these parts. We don't want these parts. We don't want these changes. Well, we do want to remove the script here. That's actually true. We do want that. We don't want to insert the script here. don't want that. We do want that removal. We're gonna need to regenerate these anyways, so let's not actually touch those. We're gonna regenerate those, and then the template one, we're not gonna do that one. Okay, so we take those parts, and then the other part is, instead of making it a module, these are like leftovers. Now we can show RPX as the leftovers. And we don't actually want any of these. So what we'll do is we're going to mock npm run bundle prefix browser extensions new tab, rerun the bundle. So what we have here, no, we don't want this here. Why is that there? We want to remove this. So code, content search, handoff. We don't want this anymore. We don't want this. And there's like an errant /script here. Get rid of that too. And we don't want it in the page HTML template either. We're going to remove that. Code. We can get rid of that. So what we end up with are these, just these removals. So I think we can go ahead and squash. Now, can I do squash before? Help, squash. Insert before. More like I want to squash this into this. So JJ edit KM. We're going to squash into RPX. I think that's the default. But we're going to keep commit name here. Okay, so now if we take a look at JJ show LU, we'll see that we remove the module from being loaded from new tab child. That's good. We update private browsing to use it. That's fine. We actually convert it into a module and load it properly, and then we get rid of it inside of activity stream. Then this like errant /script, we need to get rid of that too. Hang on. Edit LU. Code. Errant /script. Don't have that there. And there's another one here. Errant /scripts. So we'll next. No other descendant. Okay. JJ commit. And then what we'll also do is we'll do the regeneration thing. Squash. New RPX. Regenerate. Squash. New KNS. Okay. Rebundle. Make sure there's nothing left. Shouldn't be. Build faster, and then let's make sure it still works. I love jujitsu. I love Jiu-Jitsu so much. I haven't had to think about version control or be worried about rebasing since I switched to Jiu-Jitsu. It's just the best. It's the best. Why aren't you using Jiu-Jitsu? Okay, so that's still working. And we'll go ahead and re-look at LU here. Yes. That all looks right. And then inside of... here. Yeah. Yeah, I feel good about that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and submit. Move. Simplify changes in. What is it? Because they were removed in a later patch. Fold. Modified in a later patch. So there you go. What's our time? 1:45. We're making good time here. This about private. No, I'm realizing now all these about private browsing changes. Oh no, we're in the right place. Okay, good. I was like, why? Yeah, that all makes sense where that is. Okay, so do I have all the reviewers set up? I think it's just the last one. I need to get a reviewer here. And that reviewer will be whoever has touched about private browsing most recently. So let's find out who that is. Maybe we'll ask Mark Banner to do it. Standard 8. There you go. There you go. Up for review. Okay, so that's done. Now I want to pilot out this mechanism. So let's start thinking about how to do that. I'll start with our to-do list here. We'll start. Done. To-do. Build out simple registry in Browser Components new tab that uses shared data. Should it use shared data? Or should... maybe instead of using shared data, build out feed inside a browser extensions new tab that reads from registry and passes along registry down through the state object. You want like a class side of class component that knows how to act as the registry. Now, how do you do that inside of new tab? If you look at these components, they're all fairly self-contained. But what you really want is one of these, a lib, a perf service. So you want like something like this, a service that kind of exists. So has perf service get instantiated. Import it inside this other library, and that one gets imported just by being in lib, by just being in here. Interesting. So if I add a service in here, it'll just get included in the component. Are you sure it's pilot out and not train out to keep with the same vehicle? Oh, great question. Should it be train out? Well, what is the excuse me. I think whenever we say pilot, when I think of pilot or drilling a pilot hole, I'm thinking of two things. I'm thinking of a pilot as in like almost like the world of television, where you like create the pilot that gets picked up, and it's like people go, okay, I would like to make 10 episodes of your show. But I'm also thinking of what in carpentry I think is called a pilot hole. Pilot hole. What is a pilot hole? Holes drilled in wood. Pilot holes are simply holes drilled in before driving a screw into a piece of wood. So like you drill like a really small hole, and then you can put something larger in it. It's like a little scout. Oh, you're of course joking. Okay. Sorry, I should have noticed the smiley. All right. Okay, so how am I wanting to do this? So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new component, a new thing under browser components, new tab. That's all stuffed up. LMN. What are we going to call this thing? I think we had what was the name that we were thinking of? There was a name that was being bandied about. Let me just see what external component registry. So let's call it that for now. New file, external component registry. This is really just going to be a collection. what's I've used a pattern like this before where you go like class external component registry, and then at the bottom there you're gonna export it as a singleton. Const registry singleton equals new external component registry, and then export it as the registry. Okay. And I do want this to be 2 spaces. And we need the license. The license. Okay. Now what do you need with the registry? You need to be able to register. That's what we were thinking of here in this design. Register, and you can register 1 or more. And what you're going to get back is a component ID. Register components. Or maybe, oh. I'm seeing a different idea for how to name this. New tab. Components. About new tab components. Singleton. Okay. So this will take an array of components. New tab component definition array. So let's talk a little bit about what that is. Type def. New tab component definition. Is that how you do a type def? Yeah. It's an object. And it has some properties. What are the properties? There's a type, which is a kind of an enum. How do you do enums? There's like a set of enums that we want here. Static types equals object.freeze. Can we do this? I think we can do this. Product, we'll go search for now. String type, and then L10N. This is a property. It's an array of strings. L10N L10N files. L10N URLs, rather. And then a property string, which is the script URL. Or component URL. And then the tag name. And then, nope, tag name. Then definitions. Property, object, actors. We'll get to the definition of what that means later. And then sizes. Property, string, supported sizes. And we're going to have a couple of different ones here. We'll have just realizing these might need to be constants that are external. Right. Size, but I'll keep them here for now. Small corner widget. Medium card. Well, you know what? Let's not worry about these for now. Let's not worry about sizes. Okay. So we get some components. Registers one or more components to be rendered on About New tab. We'll make that return a series of returns component IDs, same order. I just realized though, what's easier is if we make this not take an array, but component. Registers a component to be registered. Instead of handling, we just have the caller be able to like do a loop. Returns a component ID for the registered component, and then you want unregister component ID. Unregisters a component that had been registered with the register method. String component ID, the ID of the component to unregister. So this is the base. This is very basic. Very basic. And so what will we do? These types are a pain. But okay, I'll keep them there for now. So internally, what we'll have is a registered components map. And upon registering, we're going to create an identifier, and we will make it so that that identifier uniquely identifies the component. Now, the simplest thing you can do is generate a UUID for the registered component. That's fine. Maybe we'll just do that simple case for now. Services UUID, generate UUID to string. I think if we do that, you get one of those. So let component ID const component ID equals that. This dot registered components dot set component ID component. And then here we will this dot registered components dot delete component ID. What's your problem here? Is it supposed to be returns? Yeah, returns. And then we need a way of iterating the components without necessarily needing to know the ID. I don't think the ID is very important for whoever's iterating. Is it? Is the ID important? Is the ID important? Not really. Not that I can think of. So endian iterator. Symbol iterator. Symbol iterator. It's been a while since I've done this before. Maybe I'll just go like values. Return this dot registered components values. Returns a bunch of definitions to do. Okay. That is the simplest thing. So we're going to want to package that up. About new tab components.sys.mjs. Let's just make sure that builds properly. Ooh, this looks broken still. Can't access property query selector. Handoff UI shadow root is null. That might still be busted. I might need to. What test is that? Under URL bar. Okay, I might have to fix that. Still? And still a linting error? Oh, no, I had fixed that one later on. Okay. Okay, the next thing I want to do, now that I have this component, is I want to have the search code, the search service, upon initialization, excuse me, actually, I'm realizing now is that this would be a good opportunity to put this under Moz source. Okay. Search service, we're going to go about new tab components, resource, browser components, new tab, about new tab components.sys.mjs. And then it's somewhere in here on initialize. Knit. We'll register. Observers. We'll say lazy.aboutNewTabComponents.register. Test 1, 2, 3. Very simple. Not much going on there. All right, I'm gonna mute so I can blow my nose, but I'm gonna make sure I unmute before I continue. All right, hold me accountable. I have unmuted. For the people who are wondering why I did that, why I made such a big deal about that, it's because last week I was muted. I muted myself to blow my nose. And I forgot to unmute, and I was muted for like 5 minutes during the episode. It's probably one of the worst episodes ever. Just 5 minutes of silence. Anyways. What's this problem with? Is part of desktop cannot be unconditionally used in this code. Oh, search service is part of toolkit. This is maybe not what we want to do here. About new tabs components. We don't want to do that. So maybe under browser components search. Is there, what do they have under browser component search? Where is a logical place to do this sort of thing? Browser search telemetry, search one-off, search UI utils. UI utils maybe, init. Let's do it in UI utils. Search UI utils. So what was this before? I'm gonna put this over here. And then down here, init. We'll do that. Failed to load resource. Why not? Oh, because resource. Shouldn't be resource. Should be Moz source. Danny Colin asks, are you one of the lucky ones around Toronto getting a lot of snow soon? We have heard that snow is coming, but it's still very warm here. 7 degrees, almost December 1st. That is unheard of. Well, I don't know if it's unheard of. It's very unusual. And it rained a lot yesterday. It's going to rain quite a bit in the evening. And then tomorrow, a bit of flurries. It starts getting colder. We get some flurries. And then the snow, I think, starts getting a little more serious. Considerable clouds. Yeah. Sleet, freezing rain on Sunday. Oh, boy. Yeah, oh, what's the special weather statement? The special weather statement. Strong winds, lake effect snow expected Thursday. Now, I don't really want you to know where I live exactly. I mean, this is a pretty big region. Am I within this region? Probably. Probably. This is a big enough region where I feel like I can say, do I live in here? Probably. Alright. So we loaded, hopefully we registered our thing. Let's check. So we'll boot up a console. How do I do that? Where's the console? There it is. There we go. And we'll load this module. Chrome utils import ES module. Const about new tab components equals that. And then we will see, yeah, I see something registered. Values is an iterator. There's one. Set for stun. There it is. Very good. Very good. So now what do we do with that? We want to be able to pass that structure down to the content area, or at least the parts that the content needs to know about need to get added. Just thinking a little bit here. How does this... How do the strings work here? How does this know? It's using data Elton, new tab, search box handoff input. So it's getting it actually from the new tab.ftl. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. And is that the same situation on about private browsing? What's it using for private browsing.ftl? Does it just use its own strings? Oh, you know what? I'll bet the controller, right, content search handoff UI is choosing based on whether or not we're in private browsing, which it checks the URL. Okay. It's a little awkward, but okay. All right, well, before I continue, because we're on to something here, I'm going to say pilot hole to add the component registry. I want to fix that test failure that try detected down here. Where is it? This one. Suppress focus border. Gotta fix this. Okay, so JJ new. It's probably gonna be RPX. We're gonna put it there. Mock build. Danny Colin says, thankfully Toronto is a big area. Yes. Yes. And yeah, this weather alert, special weather statement. Let's take a look. Strong winds, lake effect snow, reduced visibility in snow and local blowing snow. It's expecting it to end Thursday night or Friday morning. So it's actually expected on Thursday. Like, they're starting the alert from an hour ago, roughly, to the like midnight tomorrow. But it's expecting it to actually happen tomorrow. Local utility outages are possible. Uh-oh. Loose objects may be tossed in the wind. Visibility is reduced while driving. Turn your lights. Maintain a safe following distance. So it might get pretty dicey. Might get pretty dicey. Kind of windy in our area. That's exciting. I hope everyone's going to be safe. Get inside if you can. Get away from the extreme weather. All right, let's see if this test actually fails locally. Weird, snow in the winter. I know. You know what? We're overdue. It's November 26th. I think we've gotten one snowfall a couple weeks ago. Toronto got one. We are way overdue. Here we go. That is fully broken. That actually just looks... Oh. You know what? That's broken because we should be basing... That test is... You know, we haven't done the private browsing stuff yet. So let's actually do the work on this patch. Yeah, we are long overdue in Toronto for our snow. Last year was really interesting, actually, because... So, I don't know if anyone's watching this who was in Toronto, where you were in Toronto, but I will say where I am in Toronto, we got pummeled by snow last year. Just pummeled. So that passed. Did I do this wrong? It's possible I... Do I need to, like, verify headless? We'll run that. But yeah, we got pummeled. And for, like, many, many years over the past couple years, and at least the years I have in memory, like, Toronto gets hit by snow, but nothing like last year. It's been a long time since I think Toronto had... Like, it was multiple feet over the course of several days, which, if you're from Quebec, that's like, okay... That's what are you whining about Toronto? But like, I don't think we'd been hit that hard since I was in a university, probably sometime in like the early 2000s, late 2000s, yeah, we got hit really hard last year where we were starting to run out of places to put the snow. Like, we're shoveling to keep the, you know, get the sidewalks cleared so people can walk. Like, cars were toast in where I live. Like, forget about it. Unless you own some kind of, like, motorized snow vehicle with a plow, you're not driving. So it was all about, can you use the sidewalks to get to the grocery store? For at least several days, maybe more than a week is what it felt like. Because, like, the city was hit so hard that they didn't prioritize some of the smaller neighborhoods in Toronto for plows. Makes perfect sense. Like, all the main arteries were being plowed, but there were certain residential areas that were being skipped or deprioritized. Mine happened to be one of them. And so it was up to us to, like, move the snow around. But we were running out of places to put it. You know, you pile it high enough, and eventually it starts falling down again, and it wouldn't melt. And, you know, we're running out of spaces in people's yards and front yards and backyards, and... You know, it was too intense, too much snow. So eventually we just kind of like gave up trying to put it places, and just kind of hunkered down. On the East Coast, they have this notion of something called storm chips. I don't know if anyone here knows what I'm talking about. Storm chips. This is an East Coast thing. Halifax, you know, that sort of thing. Storm chips is this notion that you should... Whenever you're, like, withstanding a storm, if you are... And, like, look, there's an Ask a Canadian here. From Nova Scotian. I'm unaware of storm chips till we started dating, and I noticed them out here in Alberta. Storm chips with salt and Vinnies. Yeah, you get some Miss Vickies or something. Name the phenomenon. It's a maritime phenomenon. It's like you basically hunker down, get yourself a bag of chips. Just hunker down with a bag of chips. Hashtag storm chips. And that's what I remember doing last year. We had a bunch of just storm chips, eating chips, waiting for the storm to pass. And we'll probably be doing that over the next couple days. Thankfully, I kind of I re-upped on chips. So this all looks like it's fine. This test is fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to push to try again. Try auto, but I'm going to do no artifact. So that's not going to be complete by the end of this episode, but that way I'll hopefully get a clearer sense of whether or not there's actually something wrong with this stack of patches. All right, let's keep going. We got like 7 minutes left before I think I'm going to wrap. I can really feel my nose starting to run too. Oh, holy cow. I'm gonna blow my nose again. Something about all the talking gets my nose running. Because my nose was not bothering me until I started streaming and really talking a lot. I think it's because of all the resonance. It's jarring a bunch of stuff loose. It sounds super gross. Ketchup chips, of course, says Danny Colin. Yeah, those are great. If you're not from Canada, you might not know about ketchup chips. If you're not in Canada, I've never visited. They're very good. I'm partial to salt and vinegar. There's a brand. I don't think they're still Canadian. Miss Vicky's chips. Like, this is like, these are some of my favorite chips, but I actually don't know if they're still Canadian. Miss Vicky's. Miss Vicky's. So it's a Canadian brand made by Frito-Lay in the United States and Canada. It was purchased by Hostess Frito-Lay. Frito-Lay is an American food company. It is produced in Canada, though, the ones that we buy. Not the biggest fan of supporting American brands right now, but unfortunately, yeah, Miss Vicky's is owned by PepsiCo, but produced in Canada by Frito-Lay. I know that because there are factories. There are factories throughout Canada using Canadian potatoes. And yeah, I like their salt and vinegar. Salt and vinegar chips. All right. So anyways, back to what we were doing. I want to get this collection, this registry, reflected down through, I think, a feed into a into the content area. And so what I'll do is I will, under extensions, new tab, we have to create a new feed. Be under lib. And I'll call this new component feed. External component feed. And let's just let's take a very simple feed as our starting point. And we'll go ahead and strip it down. Export class external component feed. Is every feed supposed to take an init? I think it's supposed to. I think every feed gets an init. It doesn't. Okay. So we don't need an init on ours. In fact, maybe I should just like copy this. Copy that. Copy that. On action. All these things. So what we need to do in here is we need to load our module. Search. What was it? Search UI. Search UI utils. We're going to load our about new tab components. The component feed. Util, our Chrome utils define lazy. Oh, it's XPCOM utils. Sorry. Define lazy. this? How is it used? Define lazy. Declare lazy. Define lazy is better. This, and then you pass it. Yeah, okay. Const this equals. Or we'll say lazy. And then we will do something at action type, on action. There is something here about, like whenever a new tab is being constructed, there's some kind of action. That is... What is the action? New tab, state request. Feed. State request. And who responds to the state request? You reply. You get the state from the store. Where does the store come from? Store. Wallpaper feed. Store. I guess we also need to know about whenever new components are registered is what occurs to me. Is like we need event emitter. XPCOM utils. XPCOM utils define lazy. Is it define lazy? Define lazy. What's lazy? Lazy, and then we need just realizing that probably should be a structure. Then we need event emitter. And then event emitter, you what do you do with it? Extends event emitter? Do you extend it? Yeah. Class about new tab components extends event emitter. Lazy. Oh, I guess it doesn't need to be lazy anymore. We need to import it directly. From XPCOM utils. So it extends event emitter emit. This dot emit updated. I'll omit that. Stuff emit updated. So external component feed, what we'll do is we will new tab components lazy to on updated. This dot on updated on components updated. Unknown lazy member property about new tab components. It doesn't know? What? Oh, it's most people are using declare lazy. And then you say const lazy. Oh, const lazy equals components. Unknown lazy member property about new tab components. What are you talking about? Ah, I see. Weird. Okay, on updated, we will do a thing. Console.log, components updated. And then we will log lazy about new tab components dot values. We'll do that. And then we'll write into the store. Dispatch. Type external components update. We need to get these things, A, C, and AT. Let's see what happens now. Okay, I'm going to have to call this episode shortly. We are over time. I'm seeing... It does not sound good, says Smurf D. Either vinegar chips and ketchup chips. I love both separately, though. Chips is salt or sea salt only for me. Hey, to each their own, you know? I'm not gonna criticize someone else's choices, life choices, but I will say... You're missing out. Salt and vinegar. Delicious. I cannot stress it enough. Oh, the other thing I think I need to do is I need to make sure that this feed gets loaded. So that'll be here. External component feed. Feed.sys.mjs. shut her down. Build faster. Oh yeah, all dressed chips. That's basically we threw the kitchen sink of flavor at some chips. That's good stuff. System modules must be loaded from a trusted scheme. From ActivityStream Sys MJS 1558. Must be loaded from a trusted scheme. Oh, spelled it wrong. Lol, that's right. Typo. Lol. Okay. So we've got our thing here, and now I'm going to load this. I'm going to just see what happens if I say register and pass in like test 1, 2, 3. Yeah, a thing. So we got back our ID and we tried to emit the event, and the feed heard about it but doesn't know what the store is. So that's good. I also don't remember how the component hears about the store. Is that a thing that... What's a very simple feed? Store. Like, how does it hear about the store? I think there's something here in store feed. For each feed, you create a store, and then for each feed, you init the feed. Right here. Dump initting feed name. There. Let's see what happens there. All right. After this, we're just going to see about the initialization of the feeds, and I'm going to call it. External component feed tries to init it. And so this feed should know about a store. Now, is this just scoped incorrectly? I kind of wonder if this is scoped incorrectly. I wonder if it should be like this. Let's try that. Like, it's not, the this isn't bound correctly for the event emitter. Nope, not quite. Oh, maybe. May not have undefined type property. Components updated. Yay! Let's do another one. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay! And now let's unregister one. Let's unregister this one. Unregister. Yay, down to 2. May not have an undefined type property. I think it's because this isn't this is undefined. That's what's going on. Okay, well, we're making progress. I'm gonna cap it there. We're getting to the point where we're gonna plumb this stuff down. Let's see here. I've got this. Yeah, pilot hole. Squash. Hey, thanks so much for watching episode 421 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. There's a link to rate this episode. I realized there was a rating that came in last week that had a question. I failed to answer that question. I failed to write it down. I'll try and answer the question next time. Question came in. I forgot. I realized it now that I'm mentioning it. I just forgot to answer it. So I'm going to try and make a note to answer it during the next episode, which will be episode 422, not next week, but the week after. But you can let me know what you thought of this episode by following this link right here in the agenda. I'll also put a link in the chat, link to rate this episode. and you can let me know what you thought. What if you have any questions, if you have any comments, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of, etc., etc., etc. Let me know. I read everything that comes in. And with that, I'm going to call it. Thanks so much, everybody. Have yourselves a great day. And I will not see you next week. I will see you the week after with episode 422. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.